All right, good morning. This is Felix. Oh, no, sorry, I'm not Felix. I need to disappoint some of the people who are viewing this show. Sorry for that. That was a bad joke. I am Szabi, and I've got David here with me from Space Junkie. Hi, David.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, if Monday, then we are back again.
Exactly. And as you probably watched this show before, we are doing the takeover every morning, every Monday morning here at the What About It, and we're just gonna cover a couple of space news that we find interesting, and hopefully you will find them interesting, because lately there's a lot happening at the space industry. So yeah, just stay with us, and hopefully you will like what you hear. Just in
Yes.
advance, this is a 24/7 camera you see now, which we're going to talk about in a second, but just to give you a highlight. So we're going to cover some of the Starship and Starbase uh, news. I was about to say Florida, but there's not much to talk about. No, there's a little bit about Florida, but we're not gonna cover much over there. And then we're gonna steer our attention towards Baikonur because some weird thing happened over there, and there will be some setbacks for the future launches. And also, we're gonna cover a little bit of ISS news because there is a record at the moment, and then we're going to talk about some European Space Agency informations, some news that regarding to the future plans, and we're going to end the show with a happy note. On a happy note, well, not the happy note Starliner, but everything at the right time. So,
Yeah, so we have quite spicy topics today, so
pretty
follow
much,
us if you can in the next
pretty
in the next
much,
couple of minutes,
indeed.
not hours
But
but minutes.
But if you can't stay and can't watch the whole show, you can rewatch this program on What About It Plus. That's a second channel for What About It Family. And also, we always have to highlight you that there is always a Tuesday and Friday episode you can watch with Felix. So if you are a little bit disappointed now, definitely tune in on Tuesdays and Fridays. But without further ado, let's see what's going on with the Starship program because,
Mhm.
yeah, there is always something new about it.
Of course. So we will run through quite quick now this time because as Sabi mentioned, we have other topics to talk about. So I don't want to waste too much time. So yeah, of course, the main topic or the hottest topic nowadays is the booster 18 damage or loss, and which will be the successor, the booster 19. So we have some quite good photos from RGB aerial uh, from the air, and
Mhm.
if you can put in, thanks. Um, so that's what remained from the booster 18. It
It's
was cut.
hold on. It's not visible at the moment. So
Ah,
in a
yes, yeah.
second,
Mm,
yep, now you can
yes,
see it.
now,
Yep.
okay. So
Mhm.
again, that's what we can see, or it was seen visible a couple of days ago. So yeah, that's all what remained from the poor booster 18. So it was cut first in half, then in smaller pieces, and yeah, but at least we can have a quite nice look to the inside. How the this huge downcomer, which is almost the size of a Falcon 9 first stage, and the other plumbings and that every details. So it's quite interesting to see from the bird's view, yeah, from the air. And we have another photo which is quite interesting, if I can say it's more interesting, with the special methane tank hammer, no, so, methane header tank, sorry. And because of course there are many questions about it, that's it's quite asymmetrical, and yeah, it's 100% that it's asymmetrical, but maybe the SpaceX engineers do their job, and they are good what they are doing it. So yeah, it's a new design, so you can agree with that or disagree, but I guess they have lots of data about it, and it's quite interesting that they have this solution, but maybe it will work. We will find it out hopefully on the flight 12. And
So, before we move on, so this is the thing that we're talking about, right?
oh yes, of course, yeah. So
Yep.
in the center, that's the huge downcomer, which is coming down, as the name speaks, which is coming down from the above methane tank. But that's a different header tank, which is used for the return and the landing. Yeah, theoretically landing because super heavies never land, as we know. So yeah,
That's what you always say. I always argue with you.
I'm still on this theory, and I will remain on that. But anyway, it's quite interesting again that they placed it like that, and but yeah, maybe it will do the trick. There is a purpose behind or reason behind why they have find this solution.
Oops, sorry.
Anyway,
Um,
so
Hold
that's
on.
the booster rating.
Just give me 1 second because yeah, sorry for that. That's a little glitch that showed in the program. I just downloaded a photo and I just 1 second. Just I just want our viewers to understand exactly what we were talking about. So that's the extra tank.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and maybe it wasn't damaged during the failure of the booster rating, so maybe they can reuse it on a
Hmm.
later booster. We don't know about it, so yeah, but maybe don't have to manufacture a new one.
Hmm.
So that's all about the booster 18, and the successor is the booster 19. And yeah, last week, as you remember, we have talked about a quite interesting statement from SpaceX itself, that they stated that the next booster will be ready in 3 weeks, or at least in December. And yeah, actually we are already in December. And this diagram is from the 28th of November, as you can see, but that's not the latest version, or at least that's the latest diagram, but it's not up to date already because what SpaceX has done in the next couple of days, it's quite a speed or quite a pace. So they have moved at least four different booster sections in 5 days. So again, four different sections in 5 days. So that's a new record. So if they can continue this pace, I can imagine that the booster 19 will be ready at least in terms of the stacking in 3 weeks. But that doesn't mean that it will be ready for the first test, because they have to install different plumbings and other cables and wirings and everything like that. What it's already required for the first cryo test. But at least in terms of the whole, the structure itself, the booster, maybe it will be ready still in December. And it's quite unbelievable because it's quite a huge first stage. So anyway, you can see the common dome section, the A2 A2 section. So that's the top of the oxygen tank. And but there are already two more sections, so it makes already four in total. And maybe there are already hiding some new sections in the Star Factory, but of course there is no visible proof on that yet. But maybe as we speak, maybe they will put another, or they will move another section in the Mega Bay. So who knows? But yeah, they are in a good pace in terms of the manufacturing of the Booster 19.
I don't know. I still would put my money on not getting ready in a month. To be fair, even if they're
We'll
gonna
see.
speed it up, that would be incredible
At least
if they would do
they
it.
are in a rush, and I hope it won't be a disadvantage for them, because the rush doesn't make every time sense. So I hope they won't do a mistake and they won't lose the booster 19 quite quite so soon as booster 18 was lost. But hopefully we shall hope the best.
That's all we can do.
Yeah. And yeah, in terms of the ships, there is nothing much to talk about. There is no visible change, at least. So the ship 1939 is still in the Mega Bay 2. It's prepared for its test campaign. But last week, the test tank 18, other name ship 39.1, was already, or at least taken to the Messi's outpost, so they will start the testing with it. And I think until they don't have the data about this new test tank, they won't finish or at least they won't roll out the Ship 39 to the Messi's, because that's the test tank. That's the reason behind. They have to collect some data before they starting to test actually the third generation Starship second stage. And yeah, the nose cones are already in a mass production, as we can see. But since Star Factory is already behind walls, we can't see other sections. But we can make sure that there are more of them. At least the photographers couldn't cover it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Right, and then yeah,
anything?
this is this which one is this? This is pad 2, right? Um, pad
You mean the
1.
live camera?
Yes. So pad 1 is pretty much gone. I mean, we talked about it last week, but right now they completely cleared off the debris, so there is nothing there.
They literally erased everything
Yeah, like it never
above the
existed.
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, of course, but they have still lots of things to do. So they have to remove every cables and electric wiring and cryo pipes and everything underground. So at least what was visible, I mean, the launch mount itself is gone, but it doesn't mean that they are finished and they can dig the new flame trench.
Well, that's gonna be a tough one, isn't it? I mean,
Yes,
probably they should have used the last full stack for that. So no
like the
flame.
you mean
Yeah,
flight one?
yeah, no what to tell you. Just let it, you know, do the job. Let's redo IFT1, and then half of the job is done.
Yeah.
They thought otherwise, but that's my problem. Okay, we heard something interesting. Really, I mean, okay, sorry. So Pet 2, probably there's not much to talk about compared to last week. There's nothing new. Probably the
No,
SQD arm is up. I mean, we covered it last week, so there's nothing else to add to it.
nothing special. So
Hmm.
maybe
Okay,
we can go on.
okay. We heard some good news about 37, Slick 37.
Yeah, so we turn our attention a little bit to Florida because, yeah, there is a good news from that area. It came out, I mean, the news came out on the 28th of November, so last Friday, that the environmental impact statement is complete. That means that the SpaceX engineers or the SpaceX guys can um, remove everything and redo everything what they need for these two launch mounts and launch towers, launch per catch towers. So that means they can start the work actually, because so far they have removed everything what was the infrastructure um, of the ULA, so the old Delta 4 family rocket launch infrastructure, and everything is gone. And now they can start the construction of the two pads, because there was some, I wouldn't tell that it was a debate, but there were some speculation that this 37 complex would consist of 4 launch towers, but at least if we are attaching still to the official SpaceX photo, or how to say, render photo, then it shows that there will be the 2 launch towers, and maybe that will be enough for them.
Hmm.
And this statement mentions also that it permits 76 launches, landings for each stages, and of course static fires again for each stages per year. So it's quite a lot, because if we adding the 39A complex, and maybe there will be someday the LC49, which will consist of 6 pads, then maybe they will have more than enough launch towers. But again, which is currently known, the 39A will have 1 tower, 1 launch and catch tower, or no, maybe no. Sorry, they will have it separate. So there will be one launch tower and there will be one catch tower, if I'm correct. And on the 37 there will be two launch and catch towers. So that's what we all know currently.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
We're
all.
gonna later on we're gonna point back to this. Well, not in a long while. I mean, very soon we're gonna point back to this point, to this area, because it has some sort of connection with the Russian news. Okay, what else we need to cover regarding to Starship? I think we kind of done.
I think so.
Hmm. Okay. Right. Well, we had some crazy news. I mean, anytime if you have any questions, please just shoot us in the live chat, and we are trying to answer some of your questions. Um, let's just move on to Russia, because in Russia, some crazy, well, events unfolded. The Soyuz MS-28
8. Yes.
was launched not too long ago, a couple of days ago, and
On Thursday.
it left some sort of mess after itself. So this is a historic launch site. Uh, all the manned launches are from here, from Baikonur, from 31 per 6-6
Yes.
per
Correct.
per slash
Per. Yeah.
slash 6
Slash. Yeah.
slash the one. Yeah, sorry, the English is not our first language, and probably you can already figure that out. If not that this is sort of a time for hint. So these rockets, so usually the manned Soyuz rockets, Soyuz spacecrafts, and the Progress spacecrafts, they both are being launched from this historic launch site. And the problem is that it kind of had some trouble. So there is this plate they are using to service the business end of the rocket, and you can see in the bottom that's the it's like it's similar to the turntable they use, or dance table. What was the name for Starship?
Dance
Turntable.
table. Yeah.
Dance table. Thank you. So usually they lift
Dance
it
floor.
up.
Sorry, dance floor.
Sooner or later we get there. So the dance floor is always elevated up, so the workers could work on the Starship once it's on the launch mount, or at least this was the case with Pad 1. It's going to change
Yeah.
slightly with Pad 2. So a similar solution here. We've got some good schematics for this. So this is the rocket, and at the bottom there is this turntable, and once they are kind of done, and before the launch, that bit that in that red rectangular, that's kind of moving to the left in a safe position, so the flame is not blasting onto it. So this is a turntable. I call it turntable because in the old days it used to turn around and position the rocket according to its inclination, or the planned inclination of the launch. But lately the rockets, they can steer themselves, so it's not really required anymore. So I've got this photo from another launch site. I think this is from Vostochny, and you can kind of see that this is in an on position, and it slides back towards this dark sort of hole in there, and there is this big plate in the foreground that's kind of covering it or protecting it. And nobody seems to know, because we just don't heard anything from Roscosmos yet. But you can see that this turntable on the top ended down in the ditch, in the flame trench, and it's not a pretty sight at all. So we've got some low resolution photos first, and then as time progressed, we got some higher and higher resolution photos. So we're talking about a 30 ton plate. This is a heavy structure, and without this, they just cannot launch anything from here. And it's actually very interesting because at the moment it looks like Russia only have one launch site and one launch pad, namely this one, that they can launch Soyuz in progress spacecrafts on a Soyuz 2.1A rocket. And this
Towards to the ISS, sorry to mention, but
yes,
that's the main reason that the
yep.
inclination of the ISS allows to launch from this site only.
Hmm. Important because they don't really launch Progresses and Soyuzes to anywhere else, right? To the
Yes,
apart
but
from the ISS. Very important, obviously. Thanks for highlighting. A lot of people are raising the question, what you just mentioned, David, that why don't they launch from Plesetsk or from Vostochny? And then the problem is exactly the location of these launch sites because they cannot support anything launching towards the International Space Station. That's a problem.
and especially if we think about the crewed Soyuz, which has of course an in-flight abort mode, and if they would move to, for example, to Vostochny, which is at the very end of the eastern side of Russia, so which means that they could launch only towards to the ocean. That would mean that the trajectory of theoretically in-flight abort, that the Soyuz would land on the ocean, and of course it's not an option because the Soyuz can't land on splashdown on water.
Mhm.
So that's one more reason they couldn't launch at least crewed Soyuz. Maybe because I have read some information, and there was quite a big debate about in couple of or between couple of people that theoretically Progress could be launched from Vostochny, but it's of course it's not the best way. And now the biggest question is how long it will be reconstructed. I mean Baikonur, if we going back to Baikonur. So because there was an option that it would take 2 years, but maybe it's too long because if so
Nothing official.
yeah, there is
So
nothing official.
yeah,
So
just
that's the
rumors.
main thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can continue, Sabi, if you want. I don't want to interrupt you. Just
No.
so
We are talking. You feel free to interrupt anytime.
theoretically there is a spare hardware for it, but on the other hand, and the other biggest question, how they would move it from about 30 kilometers with train, this hardware from a different old launch complex, which was the Gagarin, so the first, so pad 1, it was pad 1/5, I guess. That was the exact naming, or sign anyway. So there is a not anymore in use launch pad from back to the 60s, so almost pretty new. So in terms of hardware, maybe they would have the repair things, but the other hand, how they would fix it, and how would they um, the financial thing, because Roscosmos is not famous of the fundings, unfortunately. So money is again a big trouble for them.
Well,
So yeah,
if you
it's
just
quite
think about
sad.
if you just think about it for a second, that they really did not build or upgrade much hardware lately, let alone the rockets. Because to be fair, I mean, they still launching technically the R7 family. The very
Come on, there is the Angara 5
I beg your pardon then.
and Angara
Um,
1.2 as well.
then double apologies. So it's kind of a troubled moment right now for Roscosmos. This really, I mean, these problems never come at the right time. There is no right time for this sort of problems, but definitely they are in sort of trouble right now because where first of all, progress is a very important, not just spacecraft, not just because of the cargo itself, but it takes fuel as well, and it does uh, the majority of the
Reboost.
reboost.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's always a big challenge, how to replace that. Right now it looks like Cygnus and lately the Dragon can do some sort of reboost, but still the workload is still put on progresses. So that's soon. I mean, there is one launch that's scheduled for December, but that's 100% sure not gonna happen. How quickly they can fix this issue right now, that's a mega big question mark. What we didn't say just yet, that the MS-28 successfully launched the spacecraft and successfully docked to the International Space Station. So the crew is absolutely all right, and there is no problem
That's the
regarding to
most
this.
important. Yeah.
Exactly. Also, there is no real big trouble in terms of the ISS's existence, because fuel and supply, that can be probably scheduled with the Dragon. I don't think that an HTV or a Cygnus is quite ready just yet, but definitely Dragon could solve the problem, or they can work out something with that. So they're not gonna left without food and supplies. Also, because there's a crew rotation between, or crew swapping between Russia and America. There is always, just like with MS-28, there was an American astronaut just traveling to the International Space Station. On the other side, the Dragon always carries with it a Russian cosmonaut as well. So that will most likely not happen, that there is no Russian on the International Space Station. Since 2000, there is always at least one Russian and one American on board the International Space Station. That's a requirement to run the ISS project. So that's most likely not going to happen. Yeah.
And the good thing that the next crew launch would be around July 2026. So um,
They have time.
it, yeah, they have time to somehow reconfigure this Baikonur launch complex.
Mhm.
The Progress cargo spacecraft launch is a different story, but as Sabi mentioned, there are alternatives to cover the situation. So I wouldn't be surprised if Roscosmos would buy at least one Cargo Dragon mission to fly only Russian cargo to the ISS, but maybe they will just partnering with the originally planned American cargo launch. Of course, there is no information about it. At least what we can make sure that there will be a couple of months until the next Soyuz can be launched from this site.
Indeed. And I think, as I was saying before a little bit earlier, that there is a connection now between America and Russia in terms of why this is so freaking important, that a country has more than one launch pad. Because, I mean, for human space travel, because we all remember that America found itself in a situation from 2011 all the way to 2020, when the first demo to mission, so the first mission, with test mission with two astronauts, Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley, to the International Space Station, that kind of ended that era, that America just couldn't launch anybody to space without Russian help. And right now, it just highlights the need maybe for Russia to at least one more launch pad where they can launch Soyuz rockets, just in case something happens with the only launch pad that they can use for this kind of purposes. And I think that's a good lesson for everybody. So you remember in America, in at Kennedy Space Center, they have the LC-39A, the historic launch site, that all the Saturn V's, the shuttles, and now all the Falcon 9 human launches are conducted. And also now the Slick 40 SLC 40 is now capable of launching humans. So at least they have two sites. So it's not, if it's not the rocket, then they can use any of these two sites to launch humans. That's good.
Yeah,
Okay. I don't know
I was
if
about to say
anything.
something, but
Mhm.
I forgot it. So
Okay, we're not gonna go
it's
too
so
far away.
typical.
Have a little pad in front of you and
Yeah.
just write it down. I know it works for me, at least. Um, Thank you. I'm not sure I can uh, say a name
Mika
ending.
Ahola.
Yeah, no. Einekeen 91. Sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you for giving an appreciation for the informations. We will try here at What About It to bring you some cool informations. I don't think adding.
Sorry, I have it now. What I wanted to say that
Say it then.
it's against SpaceX, so they can on US side still. So they are the one they can send or they can launch crew from, as Jim Bridenstine all the time said, from American soil, American astronauts with an American rocket. They have they have the possibility to launch cargo to the ISS. That's two. They can now reboost ISS. That's three, and maybe they will be now the savers of the situation on Russian side as well. So that's already four different way how they rely on SpaceX already. So it's quite unbelievable because nobody would thought or think a couple of years ago that SpaceX would roll so important role in terms of the operation of the ISS and maintenance and everything which is connected to the ISS. So it's quite unbelievable.
Hmm. I think we can give a massive high five to the idea of using commercial companies for space travel and f- um,
And we will talk about Starliner, the entirely opposite side.
yeah, indeed. Okay, let's move on. We're not gonna go too far away from the International Space Station because there is a massive record unfolding at the ISS in terms of visiting spacecrafts. Is it true that never ever before was this many spacecraft docked or berthed to the International Space Station?
No, so the previous record was seven spacecrafts, both crewed and cargo, but now we have eight spacecrafts at least connected because, as far as I know, Cygnus will be reattached today because it was attached to the Canadarm2 for a couple of days to because of actually for the Soyuz launch. So they wanted not to have too big impact on the Cygnus spacecraft. That's why they actually removed from the berthing place. And it was connected only to the Canadarm2, but it will be reattached to the ISS. But currently we have eight spacecrafts somehow connected to the ISS, and it's a new record. So
So So probably
yeah,
just to add, the Cygnus was removed because the docking mechanism of a Soyuz spacecraft is not that gentle. So it's everything but gentle.
it's a bit Russian way, so it's a
Um,
bit energetic.
it works, but
Yeah,
it's not that soft to the spacecrafts, and I think it's because it's, I don't know if it's the close proximity of to the Cygnus or by exactly the reason. I think that was one of the reasons. So to prevent these roll up sort of circular solar arrays being damaged on the Cygnus spacecraft, they just use the robotic arm to detach from the International Space Station until the Soyuz MS-18 is docking, and then and now soon probably today, as David is saying, it will be put back. We got some amazingly nice photographs. So you can see the Canadarm. At the end of the Canadarm, you can see the extended version of the Cygnus. This is now a longer version. And also you can see the newly arrived Japanese HTV-X spacecraft, which is again a new one. So two relatively new spacecrafts that cannot dock by itself. They always require the assistance of the Canadarm to be just moved to the berthing port and then attaching to the International Space Station. Beautiful photographs.
And of course, you can see the Earth is flat. Thanks for the attention. We can move on.
It's just the lens curved, so yeah, they all cheat and lie. Okay, next topic is the International Space Station, because finally we hear something like a glimmer of hope, some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. Because don't get me wrong, European Space Agency is doing a lot of very good science, I think, but finally it seems like a commitment is shaping up towards doing more in terms of space.
Yeah, so we can talk about again a record, and it's absolutely a positive record because last week it was the member states of the European Space Agency contribution. These 2 days ministerial meeting, and they have agreed to provide about 22 billion euros, which is about 25.6 billion dollars US dollars, to the agency's programs for the next 3 years. And it's almost the required or the proposed 22.2 billion euros. So it's only about 200 million less, but it's almost nothing in terms of the big amount. So which means that the funding actually shows a 32% increase compared to the last
Proposal.
program or financial program. And it means that the ESA would follow the steps. And as we all have seen how the NASA story is going up, and how they reduce the science fundings, the ESA doesn't want to make the same trouble and problems to themselves. And actually, they have open eyes, or opened their eyes, and see that otherwise, if they don't raise the fundings, the ESA would be even behind, not only NASA but maybe China as well, and they don't want to go much further. And yeah, so there are lots of science missions, lots of explorations, and which mean and of course human and robotic exploration as well. I mean, in terms of the programs, but of course almost the biggest funding is going for science, which was all the time a quite big part of the ESA operations. You just have to think about the Copernicus program, for example, with the nice Earth imaging programs, and the moon mission is taking a bigger taking shape, and it will roll a bigger part, because because of course ESA don't want to be moved out from these bigger programs, international programs, of course, and they are looking further until the early 2040s. So not only the 30s, but already the 40s, which is a good sign, because as we all know, these space programs or space missions aren't famous about the short terms. So they have a longer plan, and longer plan is, and it's good to see that Howard NASA is all about to reduce the science world or the science part of the operations of the space agency, ESA is in a totally different role or different ground, and it's good to see.
Mhm. I'm kind of hopeful that finally a new direction will shape up at ESA. Unfortunately, apart from the scientific missions, it looks like the weak point is still going to be launching humans from their own ground,
Ah, yes.
and I mean not using the American partner, which is, don't get me wrong, it's great. If there is a great partnership between ESA and NASA, but they should have Europe should have their own capability to launch European astronauts to space and back, and you need a rocket for that, and also you need a spacecraft for that. Now, a couple of years ago, we had a privilege to meet with a gentleman from the exploration company, because there is a Hungarian company who are now sort of spreading their Hungarian and the Slovenian company. They are sort of, it's a joint mission. They were launching some seeds on their first mission, and now they are looking forward, sort of working together with the exploration company, and it was chosen by the European Space Agency as well. And this
Hmm.
company has big plans for the future. So first of all, they would like to take part in sort of sending cargo to the International Space Station, and they have sort of bigger prize in front of their eyes, because it looks like that they want to go at some point to the moon as well. So yeah, very interesting plans, and hopefully they will be a very good use for the European exploration and missions. Yep.
And just one thing to add, maybe it's quite interesting as well. Maybe it's not a surprise, but Germany is the largest contributor with about more than 5 billion euros from this 22. So almost the quarter they will provide, and which is and it's quite good. And there is also Italy and France. And the negative interesting thing is about the United Kingdom contribution, because they had reduced their contribution from 1.8 billion to 1.7 billion euros.
Um,
However, in, compared to the GDP rate, how UK is financing and funding their own space programs. What's the correct number? So, Sabi, you know it all the time. It's more than 10%, right?
it's 18%.
18%. Thanks you. So
One
compared to this,
eight. So 18%. Yep.
yeah. So compared to this quite high number, how they financing their own space programs, they don't want to contribute too much in the ESA programs, and I don't know, I don't see the reason behind.
Let,
For me,
uh,
it's quite interesting.
Allow me to correct you a little bit. So they have, so the total GDP, I think it's 18% of the total GDP is related to space programs. So
Okay.
that's satellite, that's navigation, that's communication, that's a
Hmm.
whole bunch of stuff related to space, and it's clearly, I mean, they probably have their own ideas for themselves, and probably their own agreements, their own basically breads that they are baking for themselves, and probably that's the reason why they are investing less and less
Hmm.
for the European project. But that, I mean, after Brexit, I'm not surprised. I don't know who is, but I am definitely not surprised about that. They are stepping away from the European sort of common ideas, I think, at the moment. It
Hmm.
might shift in the future, but at the moment, this is reality. Yeah.
And as last point, one more positive thing that or decision that again the European launcher challenge, as they mentioning or they calling it, which aims to have more fundings for the small companies. I mean launchers. For example, ISAR Aerospace, Rocket Factory Augsburg, PLD Space, Maya Space, and Orbex. So that's the five biggest companies all around in Europe, and they will have an agreement in the next year with ESA, or at least 27, to demonstrate their rockets. Because if they succeed, then at least ESA will have the own capability to step into the commercial era. Of course, it doesn't mean that Europe will have the ability to send humans to the ISS. They are still not there, unfortunately. But at least they can launch with these commercial launchers with much lower cost, which means not only for ESA but the other partner companies a bigger chance to send, for example, CubeSats and other satellites to the space.
Okay, let's move on from this topic.
Sure.
It's not that exciting, to be honest. We just shared some of
Yeah.
it, and just you can read about it if you're really curious. And we're gonna end our 1 hour show with talking about a massive success. Oh no, it's actually not. So this is the Boeing Starliner. If you don't know, Boeing Starliner is a massive fiasco, unfortunately, in the U.S. history, because this is such an iconic and such a company with massively big reputation and history. Unfortunately, they are tumbling, and it's getting worse. We don't exactly know how they're gonna end up. At the moment, the future is not looking bright for Starliner. So at the beginning, the US was choosing two private companies to actually supply the International Space Station with the humans. That was the SpaceX's Dragon second version, the Dragon 2, and the Starliner. And actually, we were debating within ourselves a few days ago that is the the foundings of all the problem is really lying with the fact that Starliner did not do crew versions. So there is no crew version of Starliner, and they never had to do cargo missions to the International Space Station. And because of that, they don't have I don't know, the capability of supplying the International Space Station without humans on board. But they just got a bad news from NASA.
Yes. So again, a last week topic or last week news that the NASA has revised its commercial crew contract with Boeing, and which means they reducing the number of the missions to 4, from 6 to 4, and from this 4, the first one, so the Starliner 1, they call it still Starliner 1, it will be an uncrewed, so only a cargo mission. Yeah, if we want to be a bit not so friendly with Starliner and Boeing, we could use we could call it as OFT free. So again, an orbital flight is free without crew, which is quite sad. But we know about the history, so we don't want to go into the details now. But it's quite a disaster to Boeing that they have so big experience, of course. In terms of the big history of the company itself, however, as you mentioned, Szabi, they don't have too much experience to launch crewed spacecraft to the ISS, but still they had much bigger fundings compared to SpaceX, and of course these fundings will be drop again from 4.5 billion, which was the rate back to January 24. So again, it will drop from 4.1 billion to 3.7 billion. And It doesn't mean it still doesn't mean that the Starliner 2, 3, and 4 will be crewed mission because the Starliner itself has to prove itself that it's safe enough. It can be the attitude control is safe enough, and this next mission which is targeting no earlier than April 26th, it has to prove everything. It has to be 100% successful, otherwise they will be even in bigger trouble. And since we are thinking about the lifetime of the ISS, which is almost 4 years, so it will be orbiting 4 more years. And if you think about the rotation between SpaceX and Boeing, so even if they succeed and they have the certification for crew launch, it would mean that they could launch only one crew per year, which would mean these three, so Starliner 2, 3, and 4 would take in 26, 27, and 28 maybe, if this next will be 100% successful. But there are lots of question marks, so that's the news about it. That's what we know, all of that all about it. But again, it's quite a disaster for Boeing and for
Mhm.
NASA as well, because half of the funding was already paid for Boeing.
The thing is that they had to take a chance. I mean, they had 50-50 chance for both companies. Either they succeed or not. And SpaceX is proving an amazing success. I mean, let's just go back and rewind. A couple of minutes earlier, we talked about Russia might lose its capability to launch human to space temporarily, and SpaceX is gonna carry now it's everybody's weight, because
Yeah.
Starliner can't take at the moment humans to the ISS. At the moment, Russia cannot do that. They will fix it for sure, but probably that's an easier fix than fixing Starliner, because it's Boeing was spending so much money on Starliner, and for fixing the problems. I think it's a massive deficit for the program. But at the end, there was a chance that Boeing will succeed. And at the beginning of the CCP program, the Commercial Crew Program, there was a chance that Boeing will win this race. And right now we are where we are. Crew 11 is up.
Yeah.
And so 11 successful NASA mission has conducted already by SpaceX and the Dragon, and 0 successful. That was one failed, obviously, the CFT crude flight test for Starliner, but that was everything but successful. So it's not a happy
And
place.
yeah, if I'm correct, SpaceX has already a contract for Crew 14.
Hmm.
And again, I wouldn't be surprised if they would just um, if they would have the remaining crew, all of the remaining crew launches until 29, until
Yeah,
the ISS is in operation. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a big chance for that.
yeah, we will see. But
Okay. I think that would be it for from us today. Thank you for staying with us all along, and please just tell us what you think in the comment section, and how positive or negative you are with the related space news. I think overall that wasn't a happy week, to be honest, in the space industry, but in the global space industry. But yeah, challenges are always there.
this
And
week maybe gonna be much better. For example, on Wednesday, again, Jared Isaacman hearing at the Senate. We are looking forward to.
not sure how happy we should be for that, but let's end on a happy note. Again, thanks for staying with us today. Again, I need to stress that on Tuesdays and Fridays there is always an episode is rolling out from Felix, so definitely stay tuned Tuesdays and Fridays. For the main episodes, there is a 24/7 live camera you are watching right now. So here you can bookmark that stream here and what about it. And anytime you want to just glance what's going on in Starbase, you can do that. So without further ado, I think we're going to say farewell till next week and have a lovely week. See the bright side of the space industry because there is a lot of downsides at the moment, but it can only get better.
That's right. So take care and see you next Monday.
Have a good one. See you guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye.